Hello, welcome back to my channel. Let's talk about goals and energy. This is a topic that comes up all the time. I have made videos on this topic before. We have had this conversation, but I wanted to make an updated version just because I'm always learning, whether it's through my own personal goal journey or supporting members of our community. I'm always learning new things. And this is, again, such a common topic that comes up that I think is so valuable because it literally impacts every single one of us. We all have days where our energy levels vary. You know it, you feel it. There are days that you wake up and you feel like you can conquer the world and you feel like I've got this, I got a good night's sleep, I am in the right, time of the month, everything feels good, and you feel like you could conquer the world. I call this the superhero version of me. And then you have days where you may even struggle to get out of bed. There are days that you are gonna do the bare minimum. Maybe even taking a shower is tough. And we all have different levels of these. And that's another big component that I wanna make sure that you fully appreciate before we even get into the nitty gritty of this video, is that the superhero version of me is different than the superhero version of you. Frankly, the superhero version of me is different at different times in my life. It's different depending on what else we have going on in the outside world. Then the struggle version of me, the days that I feel on the lower end of the energy spectrum, are different depending, again, on the different things I have going on in my life. So don't compare what you can do, what your high energy days are, to somebody else's high energy days. I want you to keep that in mind as we go through this video. This is not about, you versus somebody else, or even you versus a prior version of you. This is about you right now, the phase of life that you're in, physically, emotionally, mentally, everything. Your higher energy days versus your lower energy days. And there are 1,000,001 different factors that can impact your energy levels. Sometimes it's driven by hormones, sometimes it's driven by the weather, the season, sometimes it's driven by just whether or not you or your children or your spouse had a good night's sleep. I mean, my husband was sick a couple of weeks ago and he was up all night coughing, and that impacted my sleep, right? Which impacted my energy levels. There are so many different things that can impact our energy levels. Some of them, maybe like a hormone cycle, we can track and plan for a little bit easier. But sometimes, a lot of times, these energy level days are going to just pop up. We're just gonna wake up in the morning and be somewhere on the energy spectrum. And when it comes to working on our goals, instead of trying to always push ourselves to the highest energy version, or always pulling ourselves down to the lowest energy version, or saying nothing, I don't have the energy to do anything, we need to figure out how we can work with our energy levels and make the most of our goals. The biggest reason that I want to make sure that we are considering our energy levels when it comes to goals is consistency. And this word, I almost hesitate using it because I think a lot of people equate the word consistency, to doing something every single day. And that is not always the case. You can be consistent and not do something every single day. But what I will say, in order to make progress on your goals and to keep riding that goal momentum, you do need to be consistent to some degree at working on your goals. Now, that can look very different for different goals and different energy levels, which is what we're gonna talk about. Consistent doesn't have to look the same all the time, but you do need some form of consistency in order to keep going and working on your goals and making progress. And keeping that consistency going can really be impacted both ways. If you try to push yourself to be the highest, again, superhero version of you every single day, even on low energy days, you're not gonna be consistent because you won't have the energy to keep going. On the flip side, if you always kind of push towards that lower end energy, even on the days that you do have higher energy, you're gonna lose that momentum much more easily and not be able to keep going. So what's important is that you figure out each day, what makes the most sense for me today? Where am I at on this energy spectrum? And I keep using this phrase, energy spectrum, so I wanna talk about it for a second. Energy is not a black or white. It's not something you either have or you don't. It is always on a spectrum. And so again, there's this high end of the spectrum, superhero version of you, the weather's great, your sleep was great, it's that time of the month, like when you have peak energy, rocking it out. And then you got the low end of the energy spectrum. Again, it's raining, you didn't get a good night's sleep, your little one was sick, busy time at work, whatever it is pushing you down here to the lower end of the energy spectrum. And a lot of days are somewhere in the middle. A lot of days you are somewhere in the middle of the spectrum. So I'm gonna start with how to make the most of your high energy days, how to keep your momentum going on low energy days, and then most importantly, how we tackle our goals on those middle of the road days. So let's start with those high energy days. Again, with most of these things, most energy levels, you're not gonna know until you wake up. You could plan and plan and plan, but sometimes you just wake up and you have a lot of energy. How do you make the most of that? And this might be super obvious, some of these things that I say, but I feel like whenever I hold back and I don't say something that feels obvious to me, somebody is like, wait, what? Really? Like it's a light bulb moment for somebody. So for some of these things I say that may feel super obvious, I hope there is at least one of you that feels like, yeah, I'm really glad that she said that. So on those higher energy days, and again, since we can't plan for them, this can be really tough for some of us planner people, and myself included. And even though I do make a plan for the week, sometimes I will shift around my to-dos based on how my energy level is when I wake up in the morning. And on those higher energy days, I need to take advantage by working on projects that I know require more effort, whether it's a big creative project, a big thinking project, or just a time-consuming project, right? Something that I know is gonna take me a couple of hours, and so I'm gonna sit down and focus on that project because I have the energy to get through it today. Sometimes people call this like deep work, if you have deep work tasks or goals that you want to work on. For some of you, it might be working on goals that are going to have a bigger impact, those big impact goals. I want you to imagine a day where you wake up, you feel good, you go to work goes great, it energizes you instead of drains you, and you come home from work and you're like, dang, I have this energy today. What do I do with it? What is the goal that is going to have the biggest impact on your life? Work on that goal. Pick whatever that is. What is the goal that you keep putting off? A lot of times, energy for me equates to procrastination. The more energy I have, the less likely I am to procrastinate something. When I know that a task does not match up with my energy level, I'm gonna procrastinate it. So think to yourself, what is it that I keep procrastinating, and work on that. The other big thing I try to do if I'm gonna have a high energy day, and again, sometimes I try to plan this as it like pertains to my cycle. I really wanna be better about that, but your energy levels are impacted by so much more than just that. How can I eliminate distractions? How can I have some distraction-free work and get the biggest bang for my buck with this energy by not distracting me from the tasks that I'm doing? Now, I understand that there are so many things that can impact your energy levels, and if you are somebody who struggles with a chronic illness or some other major struggle that impacts your energy levels, again, I want you to keep in mind that your high energy days are still on a spectrum for you. And what is on your higher day and what you're able to do on your higher day is likely gonna look different than what somebody else is able to do on their higher day, and we're not here to compare that. We're here to focus on you and your higher energy days, even if they are still lower than you would want them to be or what somebody else's may be. High doesn't have to mean like high on a scale that we all have. It's higher for you and lower for you individually. Hopefully some of these tips or suggestions can still be beneficial for you, even if you are someone who struggles with your energy levels, your energy spectrum being shifted down compared to somebody else. All right, let's move on, because I feel like most of us are, when we have high energy days, we get things done. Let's talk about those lower energy days. And I'm talking about the really, you know what I mean? The days that you like, I would like it to already be bedtime again. You get out of bed and you like brush your teeth and you're like, I would already rather go back to bed. I completely feel you. And there are gonna be days that sometimes we're just gonna be in survival mode, and we're just going to do the bare minimum to survive and move forward to the next day. And if that is what your day looks like, that's what your day looks like. But I would encourage you to ask yourself, is there one thing I can do today to keep my momentum going on my goals? Not, can I do all of my goals? I'm not saying, can I do the max amount? I'm not saying, can I push myself to the limits? No, 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 no. What is one thing I can do just to keep the momentum going? Is there a smaller task, something that's gonna take 5 minutes? Is there an admin kind of task, something that is not gonna take a lot of extra energy exertion? It's kind of just maintenance related. Again, on these days, what is more important is that you keep your momentum. It's not important that you do the most work. It's not important that you do the best work. We're not focused on the amount of progress that you're making on low energy days. We're focused on keeping the ball rolling down the hill. So what is the one thing you can do? What can you do in 5 minutes just to keep that goal momentum ball rolling down the hill? But again, most of our days are somewhere in the middle. So let's talk about those. The first thing I want you to remember when you're in these middle days is that's a big range, right? If we're talking high energy, low energy, and everything in between, there's a lot of variation there. So the most important thing is that you do not compare your days to your other days, because the second that you do that, it's going to be even harder mentally for you to get over that hump. So my recommendation, and I am not always great about doing this, but I try my best, is what can I focus on today? What are the important things I get to today, regardless of what did or didn't happen yesterday? Whether yesterday was high energy, low energy, or somewhere in between, I'm not comparing it. I'm not comparing today to yesterday. I'm focusing on today. What plan makes sense for my energy level today? What tasks can I do? Where am I feeling? How much energy do I feel like I have to expend? And I'm not comparing it to the day before. Every day is a fresh start, and not thinking about what you did or didn't accomplish. Now, that doesn't mean we have to carry over tasks, like that happens. But again, not comparing days to each other is going to really help you when you're bouncing all around the spectrum of energy levels. The next thing that I want you to think about is you do not have to do all or nothing when it comes to your goals, right? When we were talking about our high energy days, we were talking about making progress and doing our goal action steps. Then we're talking about our low energy days. I'm saying, can you pick one? Again, most days in the middle, it's gonna be somewhere in between. There may be one goal that you feel like you have the energy and you could push a little bit more. Maybe you do a slightly longer workout, and instead of that 5-minute stretch that you did on your low energy days, you do a 15-minute strength class on your middle energy day. But maybe because you exerted yourself a little bit more in that workout level, maybe you take it easy and you do a really quick, easy 5-minute meal instead of spending a bunch of time in the kitchen. You can pick and choose for different goals. We are so good at thinking in an all or nothing fashion. I either do all of my goals to their capacity or I do all of my goals to their lowest option. But that's not true, right? You can pick and choose. You can do more for one goal and less for another goal, whatever fits best for you that day. And I know that some of you are probably screaming at me right now saying, well, I can't do that. Like, my brain just won't let me. I want you to try, okay? Hear me out. When you lock yourself into that all or nothing thinking, you are more likely going to push yourself down to the low energy side on days that you have some energy. That is what I have found personally and with people that I've worked with. We are so much better at thinking the negative and thinking the worst that when it comes to all or nothing, you're more likely to push yourself to the nothing. And I want you to keep making progress on your goals. So it's a buffet. Pick and choose which amounts of which goal you're gonna do on those middle ground days and make the most of it, and just, again, keep the ball rolling on those other goals. The last thing I want you to keep in mind when it comes to these middle ground energy level days, you're allowed to change your mind. You are allowed to pivot whenever you feel like. This whole video, I've been talking about the day as a whole, but have you ever had a day where it was high and then all of a sudden it was low? Or it was low and all of a sudden something changed and then it was high, right? Our energy levels can change like that. Something can change your energy level in the blink of an eye. So if you decide in the morning, like you're like, I've got this, I'm gonna do this, this, and this after work, and then you get home and you have no energy, again, what's the one thing? Go to the low energy bucket. Or vice versa. Maybe you woke up and it was really slow. You woke up in the middle of a sleep cycle and you're kind of dragging, but then you have a great day at work and you get home and you're like, okay, I have more energy than I thought I would. What can you do? What can you check off of your goal list? Try to do your best to not get so locked in. Again, I know it's hard for us planners, and I know it's hard for those of us who have been so good at the all or nothing thinking our whole lives to make a change and to change your mind based on how you're feeling in that moment. But I promise, if you start to think about things this way, it is really going to help you continue to make progress on your goals. All right, that is all I've got for you. I do want to give a special shout out to the Goals with Laken planner. If you are somebody who does need that extra oomph to help encourage you, again, sometimes on my low energy days, I do these steps just to get the check mark on my goal planner. If you need a goal planner to help you with that accountability, grab the Q3 Goals with Laken planner. It is not too late to set goals for Q3. Grab it. I will help you get it set up if you need any additional support, and let's make progress on our goals together. If you made it all the way to the end, comment below with the gas tank emoji, because I feel like that's what people always reference when they're talking about energy levels, is like, where's your gas tank at? I probably could have intertwined that through the whole video, but here we are, just thinking about it now. Comment below with the gas tank emoji, and if you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, please click that subscribe button. I upload new videos every week focused on helping you achieve your goals. Thank you so much for watching. I just need a sip of coffee. Sometimes that's what I need for energy. Throw my own believe. How do I want to say this? No, that's backwards. I don't know if I want to say it like that. to keep that bowl roll. Blah, blah, blah. But sorry, my foot is asleep. I hate using that word.